my name's Garrett Peterson. I live full-time on my motorcycle. I'm pretty new to it. I'm about 2.5 months in. It's about 10,000 miles. I'm on my 1990 FXR. It's a lowrider sport. It has the FXRT fairing. That just blocks some wind. I have my big saddle boxes, and those work pretty well full-time. I have my big bag, everything, all my sleep systems in here. I have one divided into food, some little small camping gear, and the other side is just motorcycle parts. I just finished a ride from Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine today. I think I'm going to head down the East Coast. I've never been east before. I've ridden the West Coast a couple of times. I've done Mexico to Canada, along the West Coast and the Continental Divide, and I think it's time to do pretty much the same thing, but go all the way down the East Coast. I started to shake down the bike, and I'd ride it. I'd go, so like my first one was to Salt Lake City from Casper, Wyoming. And I got to Salt Lake, went out to Bonneville, and I started losing my ignition. I'd lose the rear cylinder on I-80 between Bonneville and Salt Lake, which is, there's no shoulder. You pull off, and it's just mud. From there, I replaced the ignition module, got it up, lost another ignition module about 250 miles later. It was 110 degrees, and I think it just starts cooking them. Went back to Casper, got the bike all fixed up. I then went down to Colorado, hung out in the mountains in Colorado, and I was having some problems. I had to pull the inner primary off behind a shop, and had to do some other just small maintenance things. By that time I was already running points, and that kind of convinced me to just stick with those. No ignition problems, it was hot as hell. And I got it back home. On my way back home I lost the little spring for the shifter popped, so I had to pull the transmission apart. As soon as I got home, it was chunks flying everywhere. I don't give a shit. Put it back in it. It's stuck this far. I went and was running around again, and came back into Casper, Wyoming for a weekend, a 4th of July weekend, and ended up losing the motor on the bike. And somebody, don't know who, put 10-to-1 compression Wiseco's stock size in 20 over jugs. And that lasted a long time, but it didn't last forever. And so I had to split the cases to get all the metal chunks out. Then I went back on the road and just kind of started bumming along the mountains, trying to get out of the heat. I went back to Casper. I was in Casper when it blew up. And so I was lucky I have all my buddies, and they all have shops. And just pulled it into a buddy's shop. My house was already sold, and I was just kind of bumping around. And I was lucky enough to be able to overnight everything, and I only was down for about a week and a half. That was really something.
So did you sell your house to live on the road?
Yeah, it's under contract. It's this big mess of first-time home buyer in Wyoming, and I sold that, or I'm selling that. I sold a couple of vehicles. I kept all my motorcycles because I can't sell them, and I sold all my furniture. Sold basically almost everything. I have a dresser, I have a bed, I have 3 other motorcycles, and I have a truck, and not going to sell any of that, so I pulled as much money out of it as I could. So my Instagram is dumrush, DUM_rush, like bum rush.